Hello, it's Friday afternoon live time again. I'm Richard Crump, I'm the Deputy Editor at Hmrc, and we're back in our usual spot in the comedy, which is fitting really, as there's been another comedy of errors this week for the Taxman. Not all of it of its own making, I should point out. The week started with the government gateway crashing, and that affected the submission of forms of several departments, including Hmrc and the DWP. The website acts as a hub for several government services, allowing people to submit self-assessment tax returns. Now this week users were able to enter their data but not send it. There was a lot of opprobrium about this on the Twitterverse, but importantly Hmrc has told us that users will be granted reasonable excuse provisions, so if you have failed to submit you probably won't be fined, it seems. Now the latest IT foul-up served as more of an amuse-bouche for all the main course, at which it emerged that over 7 million calls have gone unanswered in the last year of the Taxman. That's almost a third, or at least a quarter, of all phone calls they make. Now, the Taxman actually has allocated £45 million to fund an additional 3,000 staff to its customer services team. Now, our very own Callum Fuller was speaking to Paul Applin today, who's the Tax Faculty Technical Committee Chair at ICAW. Paul has been a bit of an advocate about reform of Hmrc. He wants to see a review into the governance and the way the Taxman is run, and he suggested that its actual customer service is pretty appalling. He tried out the service himself earlier this week, and it took him 40 minutes to get through, and his colleagues, who have waited more than 2 hours in one case. Now, but he's actually pleased that they've recognised the issue, taken significant action in hiring and redeploying its staff to help provide extra capacity, a big step in the right direction. Nevertheless, this does raise questions again about the way Hmrc is resourced. Does it have the funds necessary to really deliver an efficient service? It's something I've spoken about before and we have been covering. But it's not only having the capacity to take the calls in a reasonable time that's important, it's having the knowledge and the expertise to provide genuine help once the calls are taken. Now, does that require further resource, further upskill of people? Well, hopefully you, the audience, can tell us what you think. But there were some bigger tax issues going on in the past week to 9 days, really, which in Europe. Now, the EU has launched plans to tackle tax avoidance and has looked to breathe new life into the Common Consolidated Corporation Tax Base, the CCCTB. Now, this has seen countries adopt a common set of rules on where company profits rise. This removes many of the national differences that multinationals have been able to exploit to lower their tax bill. Now, a common base would make corporation taxation in the EU more transparent, more efficient. Member states would be able to hide elements of their tax base so much, and hopefully that will reduce bad practices like profit shifting. The issue is, though, that the UK Treasury has always been a bit of an opponent to this in its old form, and they seem to be an opponent of it now, with David Gauke reportedly telling the EU representatives from the European Parliament that Britain would not adopt the measures. But we should expect to hear more about this in the budget in a couple of weeks' time. So that's really going to be the big battle going on. And finally, audit. Last week, the Financial Reporting Council delivered its Key Facts and Trends report, which is really the health and status check of the industry. And from an audit perspective, it was interesting to see that almost 1 in 20 firms that have been registered to do audit or audit company accounts in the UK have actually quit the line of work in the past year. Now, according to the statistics, the number of registered audit firms fell about 5% in the last year. Now, the decrease actually coincides with an increase with the proportion of companies filing annual accounts at Companies House that are actually audit exempt. And that's gone from 70% to about 73.5%. Okay, and that also follows increases in the audit exemption in 2004, 2008, while earlier this year a new EU accounting directive slipped into force, under which member states had the option to significantly raise the thresholds of businesses not required to file full audited financial statements. Now, once again, with the EU thresholds keep going up, the accounting thresholds keep going up, I say, and the number of registered auditors keep going down. Now, will this have any knock-on effects on quality of audit? You have less people registered, you've got a less talent pool of people who are going to be doing audits at the highest levels. So what effects this will have and how this will continue to see auditors leave the profession we will see. Now, I think an interesting side to that is you continue to see people playing into the consulting market.